This meeting is being recorded. Okay, we are going to talk about money. Who's heard about Profit First? Yeah. Who's read the book? Who thinks it's fucking complicated? It so is, right? Like it's made for big 500, 500 Fortune companies. It's not made for entrepreneurs like us. But of course, I take it and bastardize it and make it work in a way for us, right? It can be really, really simple, but also really, really super powerful. Now, any small change that you make around money is going to make a massive change in the amount of money that you make and retain. Making money, retaining money, and growing money are three different things.
It's going to be a week and a half.
Oh. Did someone ask me a question? No, I must have just had someone need to mute. Okay, so making one small change in your money is super, super powerful. Now, there was a time in my past where I could easily make money, right? Like I didn't always use Profit First, but I could always make money, but I couldn't retain it. Most of that was actually mindset. Honestly, most of the not retaining money and growing money was just mindset. And there was a point that I got to in my life and I thought, this is just ridiculous. Like I was able to buy, lots of properties and do lots of investing and do lots of other things, but still I wasn't able to grow my money. And a lot of it was up here, but a lot of it was the physical things that I was doing because I'd never been taught how to grow the money. I'd been taught how to make money, right? Like my parents owned businesses the whole time that I was little. So I was quite lucky there, right? Because not many of us actually have parents that owned businesses. So I knew how to make the money. I sure as hell didn't know how to grow it because they didn't show me how to grow it. Neither of them grew it, right? Like even now, they don't. So I didn't really know what to do with money to make it grow. So I didn't. Plus, I had the mindset that wealthy people were, slightly dirty, a little bit iffy maybe, Well, to get that wealthy, clearly they had to do something that wasn't ethical. It's just not true, right? Look at beautiful Oprah Winfrey and all the good that she does in the world, right? There's nothing icky about her. It's just stories that we tell ourselves so that we don't feel so bad. And it's stories that come from our parents, particularly, right? Like my mother's still fond of saying to me, yeah, but you don't want to be too rich. I'm like, why? Like, what a stupid thing to say. Why? Like, the more money I make, the more money I give away, right? Like, my actual living expenses are actually quite low. Like, if I want to buy something fancy, I'll buy something fancy. But most of what I do with my money is give it to charities and, like, all around the world, different charities. Obviously, they're always about either animals or empowering women, right? But it enables you to do the things in the world that you want to do. That's what it's about, right? And we think that if we grow money that we're going to become all of a sudden these selfish people. You're not. You're just going to be more of who you are. And until we actually look at the physical things that you're doing with your money, it's very hard to grow it. So I want to just do something really simple with you today. I mean, obviously there is like 100 things that I could teach you about money, right? But it would be overwhelming. So I just want to start really small. So I've made a little PowerPoint. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to share my screen. Put it into proper mode. All right. Wrangling your finances for soul-led entrepreneurs. Tracking your money is the number one most important thing that you can do to grow your money. Whatever you look at grows, right? Like if you were going to lose weight, you'd probably weigh yourself every day, right? Like you want to track what your progress is. Exactly the same with growing your money. You want to be tracking your progress. But here's the thing, in business, right? Like I'm just turning my heater off. In business, you look in your bank account, no money's coming that day. It's confronting, right? So we're tempted to not do it because it's confronting. But here's the thing, it needs to be confronting. Easy peasy pricing, right? Pricing is something that a lot of people find very difficult. So we're going to talk about easy peasy pricing. It's not what you think it is. It's much easier. And using Profit First. Because honestly, Profit First is the one thing that I teach my high-level one-on-one clients that really changes their lives. So I really wanted to share that with you guys today. You're going to come away with real, solid, concrete stuff that you can use today. Who am I? Some of you on here don't actually know who I am. I'm Michelle Clark. I live in Northland, New Zealand with my wild ponies, my menagerie of dogs who are all here in the office with me. And I am mad passionate about empowering women. And we do not talk about money enough. we're afraid of money. We're afraid of being powerful. We're afraid of being too masculine, right? Toxic masculinity. Well, there's toxic femininity as well, right? Like there is no feminine masculine. There's just us. We just are who we are. And it's time that we talked about money. The reason that I am doing this is that we just don't talk about money. Like when you see these pictures, does it make you a little bit uncomfortable? You're like, oh God, right? For some people it does. They're like, oh, right? So we need to talk about money. We can't stick our heads in the sand any longer. You know, like my mother in her era, like they just haven't saved for their retirement. Well, some of them have and some of them haven't, right? But the baby boomers are notorious for not saving for their retirements, right? Because they didn't talk about it. They think someone else is going to take care of them. We have to take care of ourselves. And if we don't start saving today, when will we? Like obviously the best time to start saving was when we were 3 years old, but we're beyond that now, right? So the next best time to start is today. It's like that saying, you know, the best time to plant a tree is yesterday, right? Plant the bloody tree so it can start growing. We are great at caring, but we believe that we're not good with numbers. Who here thinks they're shit with numbers? Yeah. I had that story for a very, very long time until I changed it, right? I worked with a coach to change my mindset around that, and it was very, very powerful for me. Did you know that nearly 50% of women entrepreneurs are not even paying themselves minimum wage? It's shocking. It's disgusting, right? Adding up the amount of hours they work and what they're paying themselves, and they're getting under minimum wage. It has to stop. The service that you're offering is super powerful. It has to stop. Okay, so what we'll have done by the end of the workshop, you will know how to make your money grow. You will know how to do your own accounts. Who here already does their own accounts? And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have an accountant, right? But you want to be doing your weekly, everyone needs an accountant, but you want to be doing your weekly accounts. You need to know your own numbers, right? Like if you wanted to lose weight, would you just have someone else look at the scales for you, or would you look at the scales yourself, right? Like you need to know your own shit. There are some things that you cannot pass off, and looking at your own money is one of them. How to stay on track with your money goals, be certain of how to raise your prices and set new prices. Understand profit first and how to make it work for soul-led entrepreneurs just like you. Okay, how we roll. I'm going to talk and talk and talk and talk at you, and it's going to be really fast because I can't talk slow. It's just not within my nature. I am going to record this for you, okay? So you're going to be able to come back and listen to this again. So I don't want you to worry about that. If you're a soul-led entrepreneur ready to make a big impact in the world, you're in the right place. If you're ready for politeness and non-swearing and political correctness, this is the wrong place for you, right? I do not obey any of the normal, boring business rules. That's why I get massive results for my clients, right? I'm not talking about illegal stuff. I'm talking like, you know, that you must be a certain way in business and that you must do pricing this way. That's what I mean. I don't apply or approve of or abide any of those rules, right? If you're a rule follower, it's probably not the webinar for you. We're going to cover the content in a continuous stream. If you have questions, I'd like you to put them up into the chat box, and then I will come and I will address those at the end. At the end of this, I am going to offer you a chance to learn more about money and the way that I do it, and about investments, because it's a whole big separate topic, right? Why this is so important. There is nothing more stressful than not knowing where your next dollar is coming from or how you're going to pay your bills, right? How are you supposed to operate in power and ease and flow when you're in fight or flight because you don't know where your next dollar is coming from? It's impossible. Nothing stunts business growth faster than not being able to invest in it or yourself, right? The fastest way to grow is investment for anything. Knowledge is power. Sticking your head in the sand does not work with finances. You know this already. You need to know if your business model is working or not. If you're not actually looking at your physical numbers, how do you know if it's working? Okay, I have some questions for you to ask yourself right now. And if you'd like to put them up into the chat box, you are welcome to. How satisfied, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being not satisfied at all, 10 being super satisfied, are you with your current income level? Take a moment to think about that and write it down. You can put it in the chat box, or you can put it just on a bit of paper in front of you. How satisfied are you with your current income levels? Yep. Good. And this is a good thing for us to be doing. Hey. Yep. Okay. Are you tracking your money currently? Yes or no? And if so, are you doing that daily, weekly, monthly? Yep. So Leanne, I want you to promise me after this, you're going to track your money every day, even though it's confronting. And I only ask you because I know you are capable. Good, good. Yeah, consistency really is key. I still track my money daily, every single day. And on some days, like every now and then, shock of horrors, it's zero. And I'm like, what the fuck? Right? In the beginning, every day was zero. Now, like once a year, it'll be like zero. And I'm like, excuse me? On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you friends with numbers? How much do you like numbers? 1 being I hate numbers, 10 being I love numbers. Oh, good. Jan loves numbers. Good. Excellent. Good. Yeah, you like numbers. Okay. Is everybody budgeting for OPEX in their business? OPEX just means operating expenses, right? Operating is OP, expenses, EX. OPEX is just operating expenses. Operating expenses are both your fixed and your non-fixed expenses. So your fixed expenses are things, you know, like your mortgage or your rent, your power, your phone. Non-fixed expenses are things like advertising, various other bits of stock, anything else like that. But in order for you to grow your business, you need to be setting money aside for your operating expenses, and therefore you need to know what your operating expenses are. So when I talk all about operating expenses, how much do you feel like you've got a handle on your operating expenses and putting money aside for them? 1 out of 10. So by budgeting, I mean that you are tracking what your income is each week. You're tracking and actually physically writing down what your expenses are each week. And then you're figuring out what your gross profit is and what your net profit is. And then you're setting aside a certain amount into a different account for operating expenses. Yeah, no, watching the money come in and out is not only is it not fun, it's not accounting. Yeah, I budget for the minimum. Yeah, right. See, and when we budget for the minimum, we don't give ourselves any maximum growth, right? Like, what about if an amazing investment opportunity comes along? Like, we want money there. You know, we want the money there alongside. What I see a lot in business, when women first come to me, they're like, they have their business expenses and their personal expenses together for a starter, right? Don't do it. Don't ever do it. Like IRD, certainly don't like it either, right? Not that we'll be telling IRD anything, but you want your business and your personal expenses separate. And the way that you pay yourself is basically like a contractor to the business, right? Don't go, I need $500 this week, therefore I'm going to take $500, because your business might not be at the level where it can take $500. And oftentimes, this is why and it really breaks my heart, I see so many businesses end up, you know, crashing and folding because they don't have any money to grow, any money to pay for new logos or marketing or coaching or anything, right? Because they're stripping all the money out of the business because they need it. And oftentimes people quit their day job too soon for their side hustle, right? And then they burn it to the ground. And then they're burnt by that experience and they never do it again. So most coaches, a lot of coaches out there, I don't know why they do this, it kind of pisses me off a bit. They're like, if you want to coach with me, you have to quit your job and be 100% into your side hustle, right? I mean, I don't really work with anyone that's particularly in a side hustle. For most people, they're like full on into their businesses. But you can work alongside your business to grow it. Okay. Don't worry, we'll be talking about that when we do profit first, guys. How do you put it aside? Well, I mean, yes, you've got to be making money first to be putting it aside, right? Like 101 of business, you've got to be making money. That's a whole other conversation around marketing and visibility, right? Like, yes, you have to have the money coming in. So looking at this, if you don't have any money coming in, yeah, of course, it's not going to work, right? It's your responsibility to either do your marketing, pay someone to do your marketing, work with a coach so you can do your own marketing to get the money into your business, right? And if the coach that you're using right now isn't helping you to make that money, then you need to look at that, right? You need to look at working in a way that works better so you are actually making the money. And are you taking the actions to make the money? You might know how to make the money, but are you actually taking the actions? The right actions, right? Okay, keeping on top of finances. All right, let's go. All right, are you ready to take charge of your finances? This is going to be confronting. I'm not going to lie, right? This is going to be confronting and triggering for a lot of women. And know that I am gleeful that you're going to be triggered, right? Because it's only when we are triggered and we really look at things that we can actually really grow. So I just want everyone just to take a breath and know that this is going to be quite triggering. But I want you to know that this is the way to step forward, right? Is everyone with me? Are we ready to go? Good. All righty. Okay, growing our money. So we need to track money daily. We need to do our accounts weekly, and we need to set monthly money targets. Okay, and you really want to work backwards from that point. So at the beginning of every single month, you want to set, I'm going to put you guys up the top. You want to set a monthly money target, right? Of course, you want to set an annual overall goal, and you will have either done that yourself or done that with your goal. Set yourself an overall goal, and then set yourself an annual strategic plan. If you don't have a plan, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there, right? An annual strategic plan is super important, because then you chunk that annual strategic plan down into quarterly goals. And it's those quarterly goals that will guide you on what you're going to do each month. So the method that I teach the people that I coach is we basically take the annual strategic plan, we turn it into the quarterly goals, then we turn it into a focus for each month, and then we plan out what's going to happen each week. And basically those monthly focuses are what will give you what, that's when you'll think. So at the end of each month, and we're kind of sliding off topic here off money, but it's kind of, this is how you grow your business, right? So you need to predict what you want to do. You need to think of the overall goal, then chunk down the tasks, and then you need to plan out the steps and take those. So you want to be setting a monthly money target for your business. How much money do you guys want to make in the next month? Write it down, right? If you write something that's like if you're making zero money and you're going to write down 20K that you're going to make in the next month, right? Then you're just setting goals that you're never going to achieve, and you're dipping out on yourself, right? So it has to be somewhere in between, achievable and pushing you, because you don't want to set something that's easy to reach either, right? It doesn't actually matter if you don't make your monthly target, but it does matter that you make progress towards it. Because if you're not growing, you're just staying the same. And if you don't have a target to work towards, then you're not pushing yourself, right? Because then when you look at what you need to make a month, like it should be damn there on your desk, right? On your computer, on your mirror, it should be everywhere confronting you how much money you want to make that week. And you should be asking yourself every day, so what am I going to do to take responsibility for making that much money? Because the money's not going to fall out of the sky for you. You are responsible for making that money. And if you're not prepared to take the actions, get a fucking day job, right? Business is not easy. Yes, you have to do things in business that are way harder than being an employee. But I make 20 times as much working for myself than what I'd make for someone else, right? And I get to make that because it's harder, right? There are payoffs all over the place. So you need to know where you're going so you know what to do. Step 1 is set your monthly money targets. Step 2 is do your accounts weekly. Knowledge is power. However you decide to do that, right? With my clients that I actually work with, I basically share with them my actual method for doing it. But there are multiple methods for doing it, right? It doesn't matter how you do it, but a spreadsheet's really good. A spreadsheet is really good for being your friend for tracking, right? You can just have a spreadsheet, and you could just have columns for the weeks, And then down the rows, you put, this is the income, then the total income, which is your gross profit. Then you have your fixed expenses, and then your non-fixed expenses, then your total expenses, and then you minus those two and you come up with your net profit, right? That's your basic accounting. That is how you do your weekly accounting. And then you come out with what your net profit is. That's when you then spread that money out, right? And we're going to talk about that soon. That's where profit first comes in. So doing your weekly accounts is important because you need to look at it, right? You need those stats to look at. And lots of people are like, oh yeah, but I do it in Xero. For me, I still do Xero because my accountant wants me to do it. Honestly, I still do it on my spreadsheet every week myself because I get to look at the numbers and the data is all there in front of me. It's just so much easier for me to look at. And it only takes me 5 minutes. It doesn't take me a long time, right? And I actually run 5 businesses, not just this one, right? So it still only takes me 5 minutes. You just get super quick at doing it. If you don't know where your money is going or how fast your money is growing, you have no power to change anything. Okay, track it daily, physically, because what you focus on grows. If you think, gee, I'm going to buy an orange Austin Allegro, you'd have trouble finding one, right? They're not very popular. That was my first car, by the way, orange Austin Allegro. Hideous damn thing. I saved up so much money to buy it. I always worked really hard, even as a kid. My parents wouldn't let me come with them to buy the car because they needed someone to run the shop. So I ran the shop. They went and bought this hideous car with all of my money. I cried for a week. So let's imagine. Let's imagine that you want to buy an orange Austin Allegro. All of a sudden, you are going to start seeing a few orange cars, a few Austin Allegros, maybe even some orange Austin Allegros on the road. Because when you tell your brain something, it starts to find it. Just like when you tell your brain, my husband's a lazy dickhead that's always leaving crumbs on the bench, that's what you're going to see. That's what you're going to manifest. If you tell yourself that my husband cleans up amazingly after himself and start finding and noticing that, that's exactly what will grow, right? This is the most powerful tool you have. Your head is very, very, very precious. Okay, so tracking your money daily is what will allow it to grow. It doesn't matter how you track it, just that you do track it. Of course, I'm a spreadsheet queen, so I love to track my money on spreadsheet, or you can even physically do it on a piece of paper, right? So I have multiple businesses, so I track what comes into each of those businesses, and then I add that up. And then I basically add that day's amount to the next day's amount, and I get a total for the week. So I'm tracking that, plus I'm also doing my spreadsheet of accounts at the end of the month, right? If you want to grow your money, these are the 3 physical things that you need to be doing in your business. Set a monthly money target, do your accounts weekly, track it physically. Those 3 things. I promise you, do those 3 things. It will be confronting for sure. And confrontation is what you need to grow your business. So those of you who say, what about if it's 0? That's what will kick you in the ass and be like, well, how am I taking responsibility for making money in my business? That's a really important question. How am I taking responsibility and the aligned actions to make the money in my business? Because if you want to grow a business, you should be visible. Doesn't matter how embarrassed you are about being visible, you need to be visible or you're not going to grow your business. Like, that's just the way it is. People cannot buy from you when they don't know about you. And I know that I make it sound easy, to show up and do it. God, there are some days that I don't want to turn up and do it. There are some days that I have imposter syndrome and I'm like, I don't want to do it, right? But I'm like, come on, Michelle, it's not even about you. It's about your clients. They need to hear from you. So people need to hear an empowering message today. So just get on with doing it, because it's not about me, right? It's about other people. We only get imposter syndrome when we make it about ourselves. Okay, those are your 3 actions to grow your money. Pricing with ease. If you are making a piddly amount of money and not charging enough for your products, growing your money is going to be very, very hard. Us women are very good at not charging what we're worth. Men are much better at charging and asking for what they're worth. And it has to be some way that we're raised, right? Like, this is the same worldwide. And I don't know what it is. I must admit, I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking about what it is. But we are raised differently around money. I remember I've got 1 adopted sister and 2 stepbrothers. And like I say, my parents always had businesses, and my brothers were always encouraged to think about how they were going to grow their money. What sort of car are you going to buy? They never talked to me about what sort of car I was going to buy. They're like, what are you doing with your friends this weekend? Right? Like a completely different focus. Because it's the man's role to provide for the woman, right? Gag. I'm the main, yeah, exactly. I'm the main breadwinner in my family. Is it confronting for my husband? Yeah. We've gotten used to it. I've actually always been the main breadwinner, always. And I'm comfortable with it, but men can certainly get a little bit uncomfortable with it, right? And he probably was in the past. Like, God bless my husband. He's grown through so many versions of me. Still together. We've been married for 20 years. Right? But we are taught different things about money. So we struggle to see, because this is the crux of it, right? We struggle to see our own value and truly value ourselves. So therefore, we struggle to put a value on what we offer. And so many of us, like I only work with soul-led entrepreneurs and empaths. It's the only people I work with. And God, we love serving people, don't we? Us empaths and our soul-led entrepreneurs, let me serve you. Right? Exactly. And then we're like, but I can't charge for the caring. Like people need this and they can't afford it. And how will they change? Listen, if somebody wants something, they will buy it. How many times have you discounted for someone that really needed it? And then they're like, I'm off to Fiji. And how much does that fuck you off? Right? Or I really need this. I'm not living anywhere. I'm living in my car. And then you see them smoking. Really want something, they will really have it. You are not doing anyone any favors by rescuing baby birds. And I say this to you with love, because in fact, I think we should start an AA club for baby bird rescuers. I'm a chronic baby bird rescuer. And even to this day, I have to stop myself from doing it because it will always be within me. But here's the truth that I know about myself. Right? I used to rescue baby birds to make myself feel better, to feel of value, to feel worthy in the world. And I don't need that anymore. I know that I'm worthy. Sure, I have days where I don't feel it, right? We're all gonna. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that it's all a bed of roses all the time, because it's not. Sometimes I have to have a cry to my little dogs and they're like, don't worry, Mum, you're great. So when we value ourselves, we can value what we do. But here's a mistake that we make. So I want to talk about pricing for a little bit. Who's done a pricing course where you learn how to price it based on this, that, and the other? Okay, good. Because it's a sucky way to price, right? Price for transformation and price from your soul. This is how I decide what a price is going to be. Sometimes my soul tells me to offer it at a really low price, and I'm like, fuck you, I don't want to offer it at that price. But I do, because I have made a pact with myself that I will always listen to my soul. And whenever I do that, it's always for a reason. It leads into something bigger and better, right? So just tap into your soul. If you don't know how to tap into your soul, well, then you need to work with me in one of my groups, right? Tapping into your soul makes business decisions so much easier. If you don't know how to tap into your soul, that is not what this is about, right? This is about making money. It's a whole separate thing. But use your soul to decide what the price is. So pricing for transformation, the line between no way and vomit, right? So you create the thing, right? Don't go, how much money do I need to make and then create something? That's the icky way to do it. Go, what does my soul, what can I simply not create? You know, like when you come up with a course idea or something amazing, you're like, oh my God, I have to do it. I don't even care how much the price is. I don't care what's in it. This is the change that I'm going to make. But we come from the wrong angle. We're like, God, this old marketing model, find the gap in the market. This is what I got taught when I did my MBA, right? Find the gap in the market, ask them what they want, create the solution, ask them how much they want to pay for it, and then do it. That's a fast way to not want to live on the planet, FYI, right? Don't do it that way. What does my soul really want to create? Because when you come up with something that's so super fucking exciting, you just can't not do it. You are going to be so super excited about it. And that is the energetics that you need to sell it. If you don't fucking love what you do and think, oh my God, I want to buy it myself, or I wish someone would create it so I could do it, you're not going to sell it, right? That is the energetics of sale. Oh my God, I keep talking off topic, don't I? There's so many workshops I could do for you guys, right? So the energetics of sales, you must absolutely love it. So come up with what you absolutely love, and then think about the people that this could be useful for. Who are the people that need this? Don't do it the opposite way around. And then decide the loose structure of it, and then decide the price. Now do all of that at the time you come up with the idea. Do not write the idea. Ideas have a shelf life. If you write that idea down and think you're going to come back to it later, you are mistaken. When you come back to it any more than 3 days later, you're going to be like, You have to do things while you're in the power of them. So whenever I get an idea and if I get an idea and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't do it. But if I get an idea and it won't stop knocking on the inside of my brain, I'm like, okay. So I sit down, I hash all that out. I literally make the sales page, make the offer right then and there, right? I launch it in one day because otherwise it doesn't work. Just like with this money thing, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this money thing for these people. So I bashed it all up and I put it on Facebook, and here you all are, right? It didn't take a lot of work. And then I went and made the pretty PowerPoint later on. So pricing for transformation. You are not swapping time for money. Do not do something and think, how much would someone pay for that? And for fuck's sake, don't go and ask in a Facebook group, how much would you pay for this? Because you're going to get from $5 to $500. So that you're still no clearer, right? Don't ask someone else what you should price your stuff. Do you say to someone else, which man do you think I should marry? Look, there's 3 of them here. Which one would you marry? How the fuck would they know? They're not inside you and your heart, right? What do you want to price it for? If you go, no way, it's too low, I don't want to do it, it's too low. If you go, oh my God, I want to vomit a little bit, but that'd be exciting, that's the number, right? And if you're like, oh my God, no one would ever pay that amount, then it's too much. It's got to be right for you. And here's the truth, you can charge anything for anything. I own a salon, for those of you that don't know me particularly well. There's a facial that's worth $300. Do you think people buy that one? They do. They do, right? It's not about how much something costs. It's about how much somebody wants. So it doesn't matter what you price it at. The only reason that we're pricing this way is because you need to feel juicy about the number, because then you will sell it. It's all about the energetics. Whatever you do, do not look at your competitors. This is the biggest mistake you can make. And this really fucks me off about my industry. Look at your competitors and see what they're doing and price yourself at the bottom end or in the middle. No, you are unique. Unless you're going, notice a gap in the market, plug the gap. And then if you're doing it that way, sure, that's the way you want to do it. It's not the way I do it. This is a good way to feel shit about yourself. It's a good way to make a mediocre amount of money and barely pay yourself minimum wage. If you operate from soul, it's a good way to make a lot of money. But if you don't love your product, if it's not from the soul, it's never going to wash. Okay, no one else is you. So it doesn't matter what everyone else is charging. You are you. Have a goal, but don't be rigid. What I'm saying here is don't go, right, I want to make $50,000. And for my course, I'm going to be charging $5,000, therefore I need to sell whatever that is, right? Have a loose goal, but don't be tied too rigidly to it. If you're like, right, one more person, tick, and now I've just got it dampens the energy, and then you don't have the energetics of the sale anymore. Does that make sense? Sell from excitement rather than from numbers. So it's about having an attraction energy rather than conniving, forceful energy. Because if you have a forceful energy or an energy of desperation, oh my God, I must sell one $5,000 course today because it's on my list, you're going to come with the wrong fix and you won't actually sell anything. You guys are going to have to watch this video back over and over again, because honestly, I'm giving you so much coaching gold in here, right? Like really, really take it. All right. Profit first in a nutshell. Profit first. Honestly, did anyone have their grandmother would be given money by their grandfather, and then they would put that money into separate envelopes or jars? Here's the money for the mortgage. Here's the money for the groceries. Here's the money for the holiday. That's all profit first is. It's apportioning money, right? That's all it is apportioning money. Does that make it easier for everyone? Apportioning money, good. Who's going to have jars and who's going to, I'd actually quite like to have the jars, actually. Okay, so profit first apportions money into various items, and there are some complex calculations, but let's just jump past all of that. Allocating money to certain areas means you will not overspend and therefore strip your business bare. It will and be forced to fold before you have achieved world domination. Right. you need a minimum of 5 bank accounts. I wouldn't suggest that you have 5 business accounts because you're charged $10 for each business account. Have 1 business account and then the rest are personal accounts. If you're using Xero, you can still hook your personal accounts up to Xero, so don't worry. You still operate them as a business account, but they're personal accounts. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you want the one account that money is coming into, right? The account that you've already got is that. It's what the money is already coming into. All of your money goes in there. Do not spend any money out of that account. At the end of every single week, you add up what has come into that account, you write it on your spreadsheet, and it is that amount, it is the net profit amount, sorry, the gross profit amount, the total amount without any expenses taken off, that you apportion the money from. So you get to decide whatever you apportion it to, right? And the percentages, and you want to play with them sort of over time, but this is roughly what most people do. So you're going to have 1 tax bank account. Make sure you call them something exciting, not tax, right? That's a yucky name. Call it something exciting. You should put between 15 to 25% of your income in here, depending whether you are GST registered or not, right? Owner's compensation. This is your wages. So you are basically contracting to your business. And that should be anywhere between 10 and 50%, depending on your business structure, your profitability, and your stability. It should never be based on what you need. Because you're not an employee, you're a business owner. If you do less, you get paid less. It means you have to bring the hustle. Right? If you do it any other way, you will strip the money out of your business and you won't have the money to grow it. So you take your money in, and then let's say right in the beginning of your business, you might pay yourself 10% of whatever that total income is, which hurts, right? You see all this money coming in, you're like, why am I only getting 10%? Well, because you've got to put money aside for tax, you've got to put aside money for marketing and growth. If you don't spend money on the marketing and growth, it's not going to happen. You need a profit account. Start with 1%, right? Like the benefit of being a business owner on top of taking a wage, right? Because that's what you do in your business is you take drawings and then you are taxed on those drawings, FYI. So have a profit account where you put 1% into. So 1% of the total that you got for your gross profit that week goes into profit. And what you should do is spend that once a quarter. Right, so you will have financial quarterly goals, and when you get to the end of that quarter, you've got some money in your profit account, and you get to take yourself out and celebrate. I use that as my celebration account, right? My business takes me out. In the beginning, it used to buy me a coffee. Now it takes me somewhere fancy, right? But whatever, the point is that you're like, I'm a serious business owner and I'm making profit in my business. It's about the energetics of it again. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you need your operating account, your operating expenses account, OPEX. This is where all your expenses come out of. But for some businesses who are very new, you might want to budget further and expand this out. So some people have just one operating account or OPEX account. Some people have OPEX and rent and wages and whatever else. You can separate it however you like it. But if you want to keep it nice and simple and your business model is quite simple, then you would at the very least, you'd need tax account, OPEX account, profit account, tax, owner's compensation, profit, and OPEX. Right? And then your main account that the business, that all the money comes into. So you need those 5 at the very least. Then all of your expenses will be paid out of your OPEX. So for most businesses, the operating expenses are actually 50%, right? So you can see why you need to make so much more money in your business to be paying yourself a decent wage. And it doesn't happen in the beginning, and you just have to accept that in businesses, right? If you're not making a lot of money in business, you can't pay yourself a lot. That's why it's you that's got to be accountable to making the money if you want to be paid. Okay, so stock, insurances, staff wages, rent, power phone, all of that comes out of OPEX. your advertising expenses, your coaching expenses, everything comes out of that operating expenses. And it gets hard because then sometimes you won't be able to pay yourself. Or sometimes you'll look in the OPEX account and there's nothing in there, right? You might want to purchase the next shiny thing that you see come along, but there's not enough money in OPEX, so don't do it. Just the same as your grandmother wouldn't have dipped into the rent account to buy more food. She would have said, well, you guys are just fucking eating less this week. Right? That's the way they did it. They were much harder about it. We live in a world today where we're like, oh, we'll just chuck it on here, we'll take it from there, or, you know, but it's time to get a little bit honest about the money. And if you're not making money in your business, it's time to do something about it. And it's time to take the actions and hold yourself accountable. Okay, does everyone understand that profit first? Okay, don't worry, you can ask me questions at the end, right? So what we have actually covered: daily money tracking, doing your weekly accounts, and starting from a point of setting your monthly sales targets. We've talked about increasing your prices, right? And why we don't increase the prices. We've talked about how to do your pricing. We've talked about how to own your worth, right? Like you're selling for transformation. You're not swapping time for money. And then we've talked about growing your profit by using the profit first system. As you make more money, you will have more money going into your profit account. It is only by looking at your money that you will manage to grow it. It's not going to grow by accident, right? Okie dokie. What if it got to be easy? What if you were able to charge what you're worth? What if you were able to change the structure of your business for freedom and profit? Because so many of us are in the swapping time for money model, right? That's what I see all the time. It does not lead to freedom. What about if you're in control of your financial future? What if you built your net worth? So actually your net worth, not just your businesses, but what if you grew your net worth? What if you were able to master your money mindset so that you could grow your money? And what if you were able to take charge of your own business growth? All right, that's what I do inside the Business Acceleration Club. Some of you in here are in one of my Business Acceleration Clubs. Some of you are doing other coaching with me. Some of you have never even met me before, right? But Business Acceleration Club is group coaching. And it covers all of this, right? It covers growing your money. It's got a whole lot of back-end courses in the background. And then the group coaching where we actually work on your businesses. It is extreme accountability, right? It's not me growing your business for you. It is you growing your business. I tell you, I help you with what actions to make. But if you don't take the actions, you won't be growing. Okay. What do we do in the Business Acceleration Club? We set the annual strategic plan for growth. We refine your business offerings, structure, and refine the messaging, which is really important. Then we dive into extreme visibility, and I gift you a whole soul method marketing course, 100+ lessons on how to do the marketing, right? Because we've been taught the wrong way to do it. It's for you if you want to match your marketing to your business growth, if you want to build out sales funnels that actually work, if you want to implement the structures and the systems and the rhythms that successful business owners follow, and if it's time for you to start making more money. It's weekly group coaching. It's everything you need, and a 24-hour Facebook support group. First of all, we get you being the woman who succeeds. I basically teach you the rhythms that I teach everyone that I coach. It's kind of the foundations for success and what you do in the morning and what you do at the end of the day and how to do business reviews, right? That is the bit that gives you the structure and the stability so that you can actually grow your business. Second, we hone your marketing messages and your methods before building out sales funnels and customer journeys that actually work. Third, we increase your sales capabilities and skills by teaching you to become extremely visible and showing you how to call in the money. Total, it's worth about $6,899. I don't price it at anywhere near that, right? It is the lowest cost thing you will ever find me doing, right? But I do it because it's what women need. And I do it in group coaching because that's where the power is. You could one-on-one coach with me and it costs way more than that, right? But the Business Acceleration Club is just $500 a month for 6 months. You can even apply for some funding in New Zealand. It is honestly the cheapest thing around that you will find, but the most powerful because you are with other women doing that. Anyway, that is enough of me talking about that. If you want to join the Business Acceleration Club, put July's full, right? It's already started, but I have one starting in the middle of August. If you want to talk to me about that or talk to me about getting funding in New Zealand, put your name in the chat box and I'll talk to you afterwards. But let's talk about, all right, where's my Q&A thing? Right. You can go ahead and ask me any questions that you want to ask me about what we've talked about today. Let's go and have a look in the chat box. Where is my chat? Okay. Yeah, exactly. Oh, what's a baby bird? Someone that is needy. Yeah, sorry, I didn't define that, did I? Okay. You can buy a $1,600 toaster in New Zealand. Wow, and I bet you people buy it. I bet they buy it. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. When people are in the BAC, they love it because it's just so supportive, right? Like it really is super supportive. Okay, who's got some questions that they want to ask me about money, or who's got something that they want to say about what you learned today? Go on, ask me the questions while you got me here. You're all too scared. Come on. Still working out the 5 accounts thing. Yeah. Jill, for you, because you're in the BAC, there's actually a whole course in there that explains it really, really clearly. Go and jump into that course. Yeah. Pricing models, how do they work? What does that mean, Kathy? What do you mean pricing models? Talk to me.
Just when you were talking about pricing, so pricing for transformation, so you really have to visualize what that person will pay to get the transformation.
Not what they will pay, but what it's worth. So for you, like with the coaching, right? So you might, well, coaching's worth, $100 an hour or $200 an hour, but it just doesn't work that way, right? That's why we get stuck into, oh, that's why I can only charge that. Like, there's a coach that I work with, like, honestly, the price is off the frickin' planet, but you can't not do it because of the results, right? And you're paying for the results and the transformation. Here's the truth about what you pay. If you pay a large amount of money, you'll be like, I'm fucking getting the results, right? Because you can't afford not to.
Yeah.
So when we price really lowly, sometimes people don't even see the value in it. And that's like with the baby birds, right? When you take the baby birds, they don't actually value what you're doing for them, and then they don't get the results, and then they're like, oh my God, that didn't work. So not only did you give it to them at a ridiculously low price, they didn't get the results, and then you're shitty you even gave it to them at that price, right? It doesn't work for anyone. So ask yourself what you want to charge for it, not what it's worth. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is you're not pricing it for the transformation, you're more think about what you would pay for that transformation. So let's say, like, I'm a healthcare professional. I'm so overwhelmed that I'm literally thinking about leaving my husband, or I might even be thinking about killing myself, right? Like, let's not pretend that we haven't all kind of been there at one point or another, right? Let's think about just how shit their life is. Now, if they can have 3 months of coaching with you, they don't get a divorce, and therefore they save themselves $150,000. So that's how much is that worth?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Or they're not going to kill themselves. Well, fuck me, that's priceless. There ain't a price on your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good. If GST registered, what percentage should I put aside your donation to IRD? I know. I hate GST so much. No, 25% will cover your GST and your tax. Should do. But have a talk to your accountant about it, Leanne, but yeah, it should do. If you're not making 65K in your particular business, do not be GST registered. You can unregister yourself for GST and save yourself the hassle. Okay, any more questions about monies? Is this fun? Is this fun talking about money or confronting? Has it been confronting for everyone? Yeah. It is a little bit scary talking about money, but it really is conversations that we need to have. Now I'm thinking about running an 8-week money boot camp where we cover actually how to save money, actually how to begin investing, how to invest in crypto. Honestly, crypto is the way to go. Like, I've tripled my money in crypto, right? But it is a gamble, right? It is always a gamble, and there are ways to do things and ways not to do things. I'm not the expert on crypto, but I will bring in a crypto expert to talk to you about it. Talking about money mindset and talking about actually doing things in a different way. So you start to build your net worth. So it's not so much about growing your money in your business. It's about growing your personal net worth, right? About actually getting $100,000 in the savings account. That's how much I have in my savings account. I never thought I would see the day where I had that much money just floating around, sitting there waiting to do nothing, right? Like, I don't even have a plan for the money. It's just sitting there. That would have been completely unachievable for me if I hadn't have just started somewhere along the journey. So I'm thinking about doing an 8-week money boot camp. I haven't even really dived into what the pricing is yet, because I haven't even done the sales page. I haven't done anything for it. I just know that we absolutely need to offer it, right? And that we need to absolutely get you growing your money. So what it would look like is it would be weekly group coaching, right? It has to be group coaching because it has to be confrontational. So it'll be all in boots and all, right? Like complete transparency and everything. You can ask me anything you want to about personal finances, anything, right? It'll be warts and all, absolutely growing your money. And we'll get a crypto expert in there at least a couple of times, and probably some other experts about money as well, so that you can actually really figure out what you're doing. 8-week journey. I honestly don't know the price, and if I have to come up with something on the spot, I guess it depends on how many of you really want to do it, but I probably can do it for I can probably do it for $199. That's for the total for the 8 weeks, depending on how many of you want to do it. So if that's something you want to do, tell me now, because if there aren't enough of you, I'm not going to do it, right? Because I'm a busy gal. But if you want to do it, okay, yeah, Louise wants to do it. Yeah, it'd be good for you, Louise. Okay, yep, Megan wants to. Okay, good. Megan, Louise, Jill. Okay, good. Alrighty. Okay, anyone else want to do it? Yeah, Madeline. Okay, good. Let's do it, guys. I'm going to go and find a few others to us. Oh, completely different, Kathy. Yeah, it's not even about business growth. It's like about personal finances and actually investing. So yeah, it's completely different to BAC. Yep, totally different. Okay. Can you make the call on Friday or Thursday? Yeah, you actually really need to be in this. It's not, I mean, I will record it, but it's not something you want to do. Let me just go and look at my calendar. Actually, let me just stop recording this.